Just like the fish, I started out with Alex's great designs. I brought them in as image planes to use as reference in Blender, and then I just started modelling using primitives. I modelled most of the seagull using the mirror modifier so that I only had to worry about one side at a time. That saves a lot of time when you're trying to get a lot of shapes very specific, and when the character is symmetrical like this, it's a no-brainer, really. The core shape of the seagull was quite simple to do. It's just a subdivided cube with a big neck extruded out of the top. I just wanted to make sure that it had as strong of a silhouette as Alex's actual design does. Then the eyes, really simple, literally just spheres inset into the head. Then the tail feathers, again made just from cubes, just like with the legs as well. They're just extruded from cubes, and then I do single extrusions for each of the toes. The legs don't need to deform or be manipulated, so they were just very simple, solid objects that will simply rotate for the actual animation. Then I think the trickiest part of this model was possibly the beak. Making sure that it had a strong silhouette from every angle was a little bit tricky. I kept going back and tweaking this quite a bit, so using the subdivision modifier was really helpful, because it meant that when I went into the mesh, it was only a few points that I actually had to go in and manipulate, which kept it much more approachable, much more simple to tweak. I initially made the bottom jaw as a separate object so that I could create blend shapes to make it open and close. The idea being that these would have been like separate swappable magnetic jaws if this was an actual stop motion puppet, but I came back to that later. The wings, again, pretty simple, started from a cube and then subdivided and warped and manipulated using proportional editing. I did quickly get excited by trying to do the fur texture, as this was one of the things that I was really excited to get on with when I started this project, to try and make them look as if they were real puppets. So I wanted the idea that the seagull was made using felt. So I spent a lot of time dialing in how much fur I actually wanted. This also adds to the render times significantly, so there was a bit of a balancing act there to try and make the fur still look quite dense, but not absolutely tank my render times. And then went through making sure to clean up my mesh a little bit, doing a bit of retopologizing and making things a bit smoother. And this is when I came to the decision to actually merge that bottom jaw with the top jaw. It makes the actual shape a lot smoother, and I prefer the way it looks, where you can actually see there's no seams in there. It kind of sells the idea that these are solid, rigid shapes that would have been swapped out on a stop motion puppet. Then I had quite a lot of fun making the tongue for these seagulls. They were supposed to look really bonkers, so I set up a lot of different blend shapes to make the tongue wobble around in all sorts of different weird ways. Then I tried to copy some of the same texture ideas that I'd been using on the environment and the fish to try and create this sort of wrapped around noise texture look that I was really happy with. It just adds a little bit more visual interest to the legs, which otherwise are a bit plain. Then I got onto rigging this seagull, which was a lot trickier than the fish, actually. There's a lot more bones in there that need a lot more fine tuning, and the wings especially, because of the way they taper off, it was a bit tricky to get right without the mesh totally breaking. They are meant to be animated quite jumpily, so not having too much smooth movements kind of helped me not have to worry too much about how clean the deformation is on the wings and the main body. And then I went back into my hair simulation to split it out into a lot of different instances so that each of them could be independently manipulated by whatever bone is closest to that area of fur. This made it so satisfying to start to move and animate when the hair texture would just randomize only where the bone was moved. So I had a lot of fun making these guys. They were quite goofy, which gave me a lot of leeway to just sort of mess about a bit and not worry too much about all the technicals of them. They're meant to be a bit all over the place. But yeah, I was really happy with the seagulls. Possibly more so than the fish. I think the fur texture was really satisfying to get right, and I was really happy with how that actually looked as if it was real felt. And These guys were just so much fun to animate. They're so ridiculous, and I had a lot of fun creating a lot of silly expressions out of them. So you can click here to see the full behind the scenes breakdown video, or you can click here to see the breakdown of modeling the fish. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.